Well, I had just been recording for 7 minutes, only to find out that I hadn't fucking unmuted the microphone. So that's a fucking annoyance. But here we are. I guess I'd do the whole thing again. We're back. I've seen the last 2 seasons of Boardwalk. It's finished. It's done forever. We kind of did a little pattern thing here where the first video was 2 seasons and the middle one was season 3. Now we're doing 2 seasons and 1 video again. It'll probably be more longer. It'll probably be longer, just like the first video. Fuck, I just said all this shit. Generally a very, 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 very positive outlook of how the series ended. I like season 5 a lot. Probably my favorite season. I think generally season 3 is the favorite of the fandom. I don't think I was as in love with Gyp Rossetti as everybody else seems to have been. I might even think Narcisse is a better villain. I don't know if you would consider Charlie to be a villain in season 5, but even he maybe. I don't know. Everything's great. All the seasons of Boardwalk are really good. I'm trying to fucking not fuck my mind about what I just said and what I want to re-go over. I legitimately now think Jillian and Nucky are 2 of like the best characters I've ever seen in anything. It'd be interesting which one I'd be forced to say I like more, and then because I always have my top 10 character list in the back of my mind. And I don't know if both of them would be on there. I'd probably have to settle on one of them, though they might both be on there. It depends how many Black Sails characters I want to put on there. It's an interesting thing. Maybe we would draft that up. That'd be an interesting stream idea for a second channel video, is drafting our top 10 favorite characters ever. Should we just go through them real quick? Like, usually Oscar's number 1, then right now it's like Flint and Luffy are like 2 and 3, and then Casca's up there somewhere, and I don't know, I really like Max and Eleanor from Black Sails. They're like my favorite characters after Flint. Abby and Ellie from The Last of Us are always up there. Gabby, Levi from Attack on Titan. Now we've got Nucky and Jillian from Boardwalk. Obviously Don, Peggy, Sally from Mad Men. There's a bunch of things we got to jumble here if we ever come to make that video. It's been a video I've wanted to make for a long time. But incredible shit. I've seen some general criticisms about things being rushed to be wrapped up in season 5. I was listening to a Terrence Winter interview where he talked about how he wanted it to kind of be 8 seasons. This was like recorded while they were making like season 4. It wasn't like an after the fact thing of I wish we would have done this. But generally I think all the stuff that I wanted to see was in season 5 with the flashback stuff and the exploration of Jillian and in the flashback more, going all the way to the end. The ending twist, the Tommy fucking Darmody twist, I got the tweets here, is legitimately maybe my favorite twist ever. It's definitely my favorite twist ending ever. I don't know if I've seen many twist endings, though. I'm trying to think of a single another example of a twist ending. It's more of a... Oh my god. I was talking to Miller about this. This is a complete side tangent, but I just remembered what it was. I was talking to him vaguely because I didn't want to spoil him on it. Well, he's one of our lovely stream viewers. But I was talking to him in Twitter DMs about... I was trying to pinpoint the thing that Boardwalk was like at the end, where you have the Jillian flashback that like recontextualizes Nucky's character, where he decides to literally allow Jillian to be raped by the Commodore in order to get ahead personally, and it sort of makes you turn on Nucky right before the worst happens to him, and you're like, and Tommy gets him, and you're just like, well, I don't really feel bad for Nucky, though you sort of still do because you can't kill the attachment entirely. Oh, it's so good. All the Jillian stuff in the flashback, and then you realize she has the same fucking hair currently when Nucky goes to see her in the mental institute, and she's just playing with the beetle. I haven't thought about that metaphor too much, but obviously it's kind of like a childlike thing if she's just playing with the beetle. And then, if you remember, oh my god, the Jillian stuff, the whole time I was like, it's kind of meandering, especially in season 4. I think season 4 is the season where she falls in love with the dude that's secretly investigating her, and it feels very weirdly perfect, and you can tell something's going to go wrong, and then it feels really hokey when he shoots the dude, but then it's saved because it was just an act to get Jillian to confess to murder. And I really like that dude's final line of, like, you really are a brave woman or whatever to Jillian, just because Jillian is, like, the most despised character all throughout, not because she does the worst stuff, but it's just the general, like, Carmilla, Betty Draper, Skylar thing of, for whatever reason, the, like, women like that always get hate, and it works on me every time too. I do at certain times hate all of those characters. I haven't seen Breaking Bad. I just know she's like the chief example of this. Like, at certain times you're just like, fuck Betty Draper, goddammit, and her, like, know-it-all attitude and her, like, I'm the victim attitude and things like that, even though she is definitely the victim. And the same is with Carmilla. Like, Carmilla's done some bad things. Obviously, it's hard to compare these things to Mad Men because comparably the people in Mad Men don't do things as bad, unless you kind of make the argument that selling cigarettes is probably worse than being a gangster and murdering a certain subsect of people, though gangsters also push drugs and things like that are probably equally as bad as cigarettes. That moral argument is irrelevant, but just sort of, Jillian is very, like, she gets on your nerves, besides the whole incest, potentially pedophile stuff with Jimmy, and the murdering and stuff. She is a murderer in her own right. She, like, the real little things that make you hate Jillian is, like, her being mean to Angela, or trying to make Tommy forget Ange and Jimmy, and think about her as like the only parental figure in their life, in Tommy's life. And I've completely lost my train of thought here. It's those little things of just, like, the little mean things that could happen to you in your everyday life, of, like, a manipulative person trying to seize control over a relationship or take custody away from you or things like this. It's those real moments wherein, like, those other characters kind of just, like, sort of nagging wife tropes of, like, that's not all they are. None of them are all like that. They're all incredible characters, Betty and Carmilla. But in the moment, it's just like, just leave us alone, Betty, and let us do our thing. Stop getting in the way. And it's those little things that make you dislike those characters. And it's clearly the show pulling a prank on you of, like, think of the person you're cheering for in opposition of them and how much worse they are of a person. Of Don's, like, constantly cheating on Betty, and somehow we're still blaming Betty because she's annoying him about what they're going to do on their holiday or something. But then to have the recontextualization of Jillian as, like, this tomboy, self-made thief, go-getter, very cute little girl that it's just, like, heartbreaking because you know it's coming. You know the entire time that the flashback is happening. We've completely severed off into the end of season 5 stuff, into, like, you know it's all going to build to Nucky, to the Jillian stuff. As when Eli and Nucky catch what we later find out to be Jillian, I thought it was going to be Jimmy, because if you remember in season 4, Jillian tells a story about how she named Jimmy after the boy she also met the day she was, like, taken to the Commodore. And it was, like, her only, like, happy memory ever was this boy that she kind of fell in love with that same day and kissed her under the boardwalk, called Jimmy. And I thought this was going to be Jimmy. But no, it was just Jillian. She just looked like a boy. But immediately when that's introduced, you're like, there's only one way this could go. And it's kind of like, you know it's coming. Oh, I remember the thing I had where I was like, oh my God, I remember the thing I was talking to Miller about. The thing is, it's The Last of Us Part 2 final scene with Joel and Ellie, where it's like, you know this confrontation has to happen at some point, and then it happens, and it's like the flashback is, like, giving new light. Oh, it's, like, exactly the same. I almost want to fucking pause the stream just to message him to say it was The Last of Us 2 I was thinking about. Because in The Last of Us 2, spoiler alert for that game, is Ellie basically going on a rampage trying to avenge Joel. And then you slowly find out through the game that Joel and Ellie's relationship had been fractured. And so part of this is Ellie throwing, like, a tantrum because she didn't get to make up with Joel before he died, and she secretly did love him, and she'd wasted their final years together hating him and not talking to him. Only for it then to be revealed at the end that she kind of did get closure the night before Joel was killed, and for that to immediately make you switch and, like, hate Ellie and be like, So Ellie really, this just is a temper tantrum. She's killed all these people. She's going to ruin all of the stuff Abby has now built. She's going to try and kill Lev and kill Abby, who are trying to do good things now. All because of her temper tantrum that she was pissy at Joel for something she knew she would do the same. It's just a whole thing of like, yeah, Ellie is kind of fucking the bad guy here. Fuck Ellie. And the same thing happens with the Nucky here, with the Jillian situation of that. And I was talking to him about it's that it both happens at the end and then it recontextualizes everything, but you know the recontextualization is coming, but it still surprises you. It's such a well done thing of just like, Nucky like nearly cries after the Commodore takes the deputy badge away from him, and that Nucky actor is so good. The like 20-year-old Nucky, and the Maybelle stuff, because that's like looming large, because you know they're trying to get pregnant, and she goes crazy, and I was like dreading seeing the scene of her nursing the baby and Nucky coming home and being like, that's some tragic shit. We don't even go there. And then at first it's like when Maybelle's first introduced, you're like, oh no, she's awful. But then she actually isn't awful. Not when they're kids, but firstly, I think it's when Nucky's meeting with the father. It's just Nucky kind of being like a little whimpering bitch, and it's like, ugh, I don't like this person at all. And he has the same teeth, obviously. They give him Steve Buscemi teeth, and he has the same mannerisms. There's very interesting Steve Buscemi mannerisms. I don't know if they're Steve Buscemi mannerisms or if they're just Nucky mannerisms, where Nucky's kind of like, his arms are a little bit too long, and like, there's something weird about the way he moves. I don't know if this is just a little thing or if this is a performance thing of making Nucky a little bit awkward. It very much comes out in those flashbacks where he's much more awkward, and not like the grizzled, like, seen it all veteran he is later on. But then that comes out again in the scene where he's with Jillian in the mental institute, where he's like sulking. And because this comes before the recontextualization, you kind of feel bad for Nucky there, because oh my god, it's so perfectly laid out throughout the entire fucking show. It's so good. Where like at the end of season 3, Jillian she tries to drug and kill Rossetti, but then he gets the jump on her and gives her the heroin. And then she's coming to after everyone's being killed in there by Richard. Richard dies at the end of 4, right? Yeah. We can talk about that in a second. But at the end, like, Eli... Oh, it's so perfect that Eli's there too. Miller just fucking messaged me. Completely ruined my train of thought by shitting on Goat Jesus. Fuck Goat Jesus. I don't give a fuck. We're talking about Boardwalk Empire. Where she wakes up and she's like, Nucky, you gotta get me out of here. Like, that man did terrible things to me. She's, like, delusional, but clearly she's still traumatized by this because she was raped by the fucking Commodore when she was 13 and roofied and all that. And Nucky, because you hear about it like Nucky was, it's very vague how much Nucky was involved in this process, and for it to basically be extremely blatant to him, and for him to choose to this woman that this young girl that he's trying to help, and for him to knowingly do it just to get ahead, just to become sheriff, so he could eventually have everything he has now. It's just like, ugh. And I remember going into this more in season 2, I think, because when season 2, at the end of season 2, was like the big Jillian is the worst. She slept with Jimmy. Holy fuck. She's a pedophile. I don't know. The implications of her being a pedophile, I don't know. Because I feel like it's kind of implied that that's the first time they've slept together. Now, it's still a shitty power dynamic. And a son can almost certainly never consent to sex with their mother. And Jimmy was drunk, and I remember coming out of that situation being like, get Tommy away from her. She's not allowed to have him. Because she has the moment where she talks to Angela about kissing Jimmy on the winky when he was little. And it's just sort of a weird thing. It's just a tease for the incest angle eventually. But like it makes you think like maybe that was some sort of molestation more than just a weird quirky thing of their relationship. It's just so good. The characterization of them as like two kids alone in the world together. She's all he had. Everybody she's ever known is dead. Like Tommy was taken away from her. Jimmy was killed. Nucky doesn't really help her at all. It's just like she had nothing, then she was kind of given a family. It's just a wild fucking. It's just incredible stuff. I feel like I was building somewhere, but I forgot where I was building towards. I was talking about the end of season 3 and how it plays into everything. Oh, and it sort of slightly reminds you every time that Nucky somehow knew about this. But the end of season 3 makes it seem like Jillian, she was like trying to get Nucky to help because Nucky was their ally, and it's like it keeps it vague the whole time if Nucky is like a terrible overseeing of pedophilia idiot, or if he's, well, not idiot, I don't know, I was trying to think of, I guess fucker would be the correct word, or if he was just kind of another victim in this situation. It's like, no, not really. And saving that for the end for him to then get shot by Tommy. Oh, and this is going back to another talking point I was going to get to about how in the season 1 and 2 video, I talked about at the end of season 2 talking about how none of them ever had a chance. Jillian, Angela, Tommy, Jimmy, none of them had a chance because they were all in this fucked up situation where there was no hope for them. Everybody that came before them was completely fucked up. Like, Jillian was fucked up because of what Nucky and the Commodore did to her, and therefore she was not like a good mother really to Jimmy, so Jimmy was fucked up, and then the incest thing happens, then Jimmy goes to war and gets more fucked up, and then Ange, like by happenstance, by accidentally getting pregnant, is then roped in with these two, and she's also at least bi, almost strikingly lesbian, and that is not a good thing to be in 1920. So she's wrapped into all of this, and then Jimmy's exploits, like his unnecessary just being a shithead to, I still just call him Boychik, because he used to say that to Jimmy all the time. I forget the character's name. Ends up getting his fucking wife killed, and it's like, this is just a misery thing. And now Tommy shoots Nucky and probably gets executed for it, because they constantly talk about in the show, like, how, Eli and Van Holden are going to get the chamber. I think they say, like, gas chamber, if they don't cooperate with the Al stuff at the end of season 5. So Tommy probably got killed after the fact as well, because the FBI agent, well, they're not FBI, the agents were right there ready to arrest Nucky, or at least they were watching him, so they were their first-hand witnesses. Tommy did do it. He probably gets killed, so it's like they all died because of this fucked up lineage that was started by Nucky and the Commodore, and now they're dead. It's sort of like none of them ever had a chance. The world fucked them over, and not even the world. Nucky and the Commodore fucked them over in every situation here, and it's just like, ugh. It's just like they never had a chance. It's like just this sad thing. And this brings me to the real like key video idea that I'm actually kind of excited to eventually make, that I have coming out of this show, is sort of, it would be a video about Jillian and Nucky, and about forgiveness and I don't know, justice, I guess, of sort of, there's like a question posed. All narratives do this, where narratives kind of feel the responsibility to punish their characters for doing bad things, sort of to tangentially give the message to the audience that this isn't okay. Like, Nucky kills people, so he always has problems, and like he's done terrible things, so he gets killed in the end. And it's sort of like the point of this show is kind of it's kind of set on the box art over here of No One Goes Quietly, of sort of everybody dies in some big loud fashion, and it's not good because they chose this life of criminality. Sort of, they don't deserve to live happily ever after. Like, Nucky wasn't, like, in the last episode, it's kind of setting up for Nucky to maybe retire and, like, go and live with Margaret in this apartment that they might be buying together and rekindling that relationship. And he could just be alone and let Luciano deal with all of this stuff. And Eli's not going to die. He might go back to his family. And it's sort of like, you can feel sort of like this happy ending isn't going to happen. The series isn't going to let this happen because Nucky has done too much bad shit for this to happen, and it ends up him getting shot. The same thing happens with like Chalky too, where it's like he's fucked up too much. He let a woman into his life that ended up ruining his family life, getting his daughter killed. He's killed a lot of people too. He's not a good person. He's not going to get a happy ending. In the end, he does something good by helping get is her name just still Daughter? I think it is. By getting her like a deal with Narcisse, and Narcisse kills Chalky. The vagueness of that entire scenario was really good too. I think that's the third last episode. It's good stuff. I want to make sure I'm fucking recording so I don't have another situation like I did last time. It's just sort of like you can tell, and this was especially on display with the Jillian stuff in season 4 of she's kind of like improving herself. She's losing her drug addiction. She's not doing certain bad things. She's falling in love with this dude, and there's like an undercurrent the whole time of like she's slowly achieving happiness of like, this isn't going to end well for Jillian. Like, she's done too much bad shit. The narrative is not going to endorse Jillian by giving her a happy ending and letting her be happy after all the shit she's done. And the show very much knows that you're going to know this, so it plays up the hokiness, especially with the dude getting shot in the parking lot, and then eventually it's revealed, oh, they were hired by Junior Soprano to fuck them all, to get Jillian arrested, and then she gets put in the asylum. And it's kind of like at the end scene where Jillian's playing with the thing, it's like, has Jillian suffered enough now? She describes being in the mental institute when she writes to Nucky as being in hell. And you can't tell if she's completely lost it by that final scene. And it's sort of like, has she suffered enough, like, for everything she's done? And it's sort of this reform thing, or this, what is an adequate punishment for the things people have done? Now, in a lot of scenarios in the show, it's just people getting killed. Nucky gets killed at the end. Does he deserve it? Or has Jillian suffered enough for what she's done to deserve happiness after the fact? Nucky supposedly sets up that she might get her own room, and might find her way out of the asylum, though that doesn't seem likely. So maybe he set up for her to eventually maybe be happy, but there are clear indicators in that final scene that she may have now actually gone insane, and she's probably never going to get out of this situation, because this situation doesn't help people, it just makes sane people insane and things like that. And it's obviously a commentary on how we dealt with these sorts of issues in the 1920s, and it probably wasn't pretty. This theme, though, of like, does somebody deserve happiness, and like it being ripped away from them? It's an interesting question for like, because from an emotional standpoint, if we're not looking at this logically or I don't think rhetorically is the right word, but continue with that train of thought. Like, emotionally, I just want Jillian to be happy now. She's like the only good character in the show, but she's not a good character just because we have those scenes of her when she's 13. And it's like, oh, like, must protect. And it's like, she didn't deserve this. And it's funny because, again, the season 2 switch is the exact opposite of this. Like, Jillian is the worst person ever. Get her away from Tommy and all this stuff. And it's sort of, if Jillian was set free now, like, is it okay if she lives a normal life and becomes some sense of happy after this? And sort of, what is the moral weight? Like, once you do a bad action, are you, because in real life we have sentencing, right? And if somebody kills somebody, they go to jail for like 22 years or whatever, and once they get out, do we forgive them? Have they done the time? Is that sin washed away by the justice system? Are Jillian's scenes washed away by the things she has to endure in the asylum? If Nucky went to jail, I'm pretty sure if Nucky got arrested and actually charged for everything bad he's ever done, he'd probably get life in prison. So, as a society, we would generally think, no, Nucky isn't entitled to happiness. He should be in jail for the rest of his life. Should Jillian's sentence be a life sentence and things like this? It's just interesting to think about, of like forgiveness as a society and whether or not people deserve the opportunity at happiness. And that would be an interesting video to do. Because at the end, you really are in the thing of like, if Jillian could pull this together, that'd be great. I'd like that for her a lot. Which is like something you couldn't fathom, like at the end of season 2 or through season 3 and 4. Should we just generally talk? I have my notes up from when I did the first video, and I thought it would be interesting to go back through. The performances continue to be incredible. There's also a thing about Al Capone that kind of plays into what we were just talking about, of he kind of has a happy ending, I guess. I know Al Capone lives until he's like 60 or something, so I don't think he spends a lot of time in prison. Maybe he does. So I don't know. I'm sure if you looked it up, you could tell if he beat the case he's going in. But his scene with his son and stuff like that. The sympathy angle to this is all interesting as well. Of obviously just the conceit of these types of shows, of making these types of people sympathetic in any sense of the word, and to have you rooting for them at all, even though they are bad people. Just like Al, and Al's scene with his final scene with his son, and things like that. Like, I really like this Al dude. But then other scenes are like, God, Al is like an insane fucking murderous psychopath. But yeah, that plays into all of that. But just on a performance scale, like, everybody still is great. They continued to introduce like incredible characters up until the end. Narcisse. If we want to talk about season 4 for a little bit. Season 4 is the season where Chalky becomes the second main character, and it's kind of fucking sick and great. The daughter storyline, Mr. Pernsley turning on him, Narcisse is a villain as a performance. It's the dude from the Hunger Games. Who knew? Jeffrey Wright. I feel like he's a very famous actor in a bunch of other things. What other things is Jeffrey Wright in? Let's see. He's best known for his Tony Golden Globe, the Emmy-winning role in the Boardwalk production Angels in America, and its acclaimed HBO Miseries adaptation. Alright, I didn't know about that. James Bond, Casino Royale, No Time to Die, Boardwalk, The Hunger Games, the Watcher in the Marvel Cinematic Series What If. Well, there you go. He's going to be in the Batman. Oh, he's going to be Jim Gordon in Batman, huh? But yes, I feel like I hear people talk about Jeffrey Wright a lot, but his performance was fucking incredible. Just the way they have these 20s performances of these different caricatures of the 20s, and the weird way they sound and how they all sound like perfect is really cool. Narcisse was another one. Roy Phillips. Oh, that's Gillian's love interest. We've obviously got Richard Harrow. He dies at the end of season 4. I don't know how I feel about his death. I like the vision of him walking up to like the perfect family life he could have had, but again, he's not allowed happiness because of all the bad things he's done, and it wouldn't be right for the show to give him happiness, so he has to die. Imagining happiness, he imagines having the family life with his now wife and Tommy, and having the other side of his face and what could have been. But it can't be, and then he dies under the boardwalk. It's a very poetic scene. Man, it's like I wish there was like another Tommy scene, because the Tommy characterization in the very little moment where he's honest, he just talks about Nima. He doesn't really talk about. I haven't rewatched anything yet. I haven't rewatched like any scenes yet. It'd be interesting to go back. I'd be very interested to go back and watch the Gillian scene from the end of season 3. I remember loving that scene even then, and now with the added context, I think it would be even better. Rewatching that last scene and what Tommy exactly says would be a lot of fun, I think, too. Mickey's death was interesting. I saw a criticism of the show being, I don't remember if I said this in the last recording or this recording, so if I'm repeating myself, it's your fault, chat, even though there's no chat. Sad time. Chat doesn't want to talk about Boardwalk Empire. But about characters getting killed off too quickly at the end of the show. This is complaining about specifically somebody, but I feel like Mickey, if anybody was a victim of that, Mickey was. I really like the last moments with Mickey and Nucky. There's like a moment where Nucky just has a moment where he's like, holy fuck, it's like me and Mickey. And it's like just the two of us, eh? And it's just like we been here from the start, and we're like the only two still around, because Eli's gone off crazy again at this point. It's just like Mickey turns out to be like Nucky's most loyal dude, and it's just like Nucky finally acknowledging him instead of calling him like an idiot or slapping him around for flirting with Sally. I think Sally is her name, right? I'm not just saying Sally Draper. Sally is the Floridian girl. Her death was also interesting in sort of like a sort of way, but I really love that moment, like them having that moment before, and then Nucky offering him like a bunch of stuff right before he dies. Like those little moments of appreciation is something that Boardwalk probably I didn't expect to do, but to give Mickey that moment right before he gets shot is like, all right, that's pretty cool. So I'm not like negative on Mickey's death, but there you go. What a great performance though, just always. Eddie, the Eddie one is another death where it's like, I could see people being mad at this. I'm not sure entirely how I think about it. When we have the episode, season 12, no, it's the second last episode of season 3, season 12. We can only imagine. Hold on. We ain't cutting that out. But where such a cornerstone of that episode is like Nucky finally like appreciating Eddie and doing everything he can to save him, to just have Eddie die like 5 episodes later in the next season kind of feels like it undercuts that a little bit. But it kind of like a part of that episode is also revealing that Eddie is kind of a piece of shit too, who like stole and then abandoned his family or whatever. And then he kills himself at the end. I have to think about the Eddie stuff more to get a real opinion, a real fleshed out opinion. Luciano Meyer and I forget the other one's name, the one that's screaming about the song about his girlfriend's pussy in the fourth last episode. No, it's probably like the second last episode. What an incredible performance that one is as well from him, of just him being crazy and off the fucking wall, and like Luciano actually being loyal to like his childhood best friends is interesting in that sort of regard. A lot of the drama at the end is so good. I like all that stuff, the kidnapping stuff. I love that the little detail of Luciano like hanging up thinking he's pranking him the first time, and then he picks up and it's Nucky again, but he doesn't realize it's Nucky, and he's like, who the fuck is this? And then he's like, okay, he's actually kidnapped, and then they kidnap fucking Eli's son anyway, but that's all fun. Is the last I forget the son's name. He gets recast after season 3. His name isn't Max. Whatever Eli's son's name is, the oldest one. Is the last scene we get of him going into the office and changing with the blood on his shirt, and the secretary girl that's definitely his girlfriend, the black girl. Is it the last scene with him? Because I kind of like that as the last scene for him, of sort of like he just goes back into work like nothing happened, just ignore it, and he'll make something of himself as an attorney. That's all really good. I like that stuff a lot. The Al stuff is all good. I was waiting for his other brother to die, because I never heard about the Capone brothers, just Al Capone. So when the older one, I don't know if he was the older one, but when he died, it was like, that makes sense, since I haven't heard of him. But yeah, what was I saying? But yeah, all the Al stuff is great. Al's performance, him, just the bravado in the room and him screaming and over laughing and everything. It's just really good. Everybody loves it. And he hits the emotional moments really well as well. When he goes to Van Alden at the end, he's like, I thought we were buddies. It's kind of like, oh, Al. It's just all fucking incredible stuff. Rothstein is still in the season. I would assume that Rothstein probably had a planned ending for him that was kind of undercut. I'm not sure. Because he dies between seasons, because there's a 7-year skip between seasons 4 and 5. Sally is also introduced as a Nucky love interest in this season. You have to think they'd probably have explored that option more. It had Roger and... oh my god, why am I forgetting Don's second wife's name? It starts with an M. I'm trying to say Margaret, but it's not fucking Margaret. It doesn't start with an M, does it? Why am I forgetting her name? I'm trying to think of Jones saying it in like the first time in like in episode 2 of season 4. Oh my god, I'm not doing anything until I fucking figure this out. You're screaming it at the top of your lungs. You're writing it in the comments section. If anybody's made it this far into this video, I'm convinced nobody listens to the Boardwalk videos, but in time they will. Betty Draper, Sally Draper, Bobby Draper, Don Draper, Megan Draper. Megan. It does start with an M. Why did I think it was Margaret? Megan's mother and Roger get together at the end of Mad Men. It's kind of fitting because they're similar ages and it's not Roger trying to marry a 20-year-old. I thought that was the path we were going, where Nucky needed sort of a woman like that, and that was kind of the perfect woman for him. They didn't go in that direction. They kind of have a romance at the end of season 4, but then, unless I'm forgetting something where they broke it off, at the beginning of season 5, Nucky kind of wants to make it happen, but she says she's seeing someone or something. Or she's like, I'm not alone or something, when in Cuba. So yeah, that never really gets fleshed out. If we had more seasons in there probably would be a season where they were together or something and they broke it off. Because you kind of have to have the Margaret and Nucky stuff in season 5, because it's... I sometimes criticize the relationship for not hitting the emotional high notes. When they finally reunite, because Margaret isn't in like the first 5 episodes of season 4, it's very well handled. They hold off on it for a long time, and then they meet after Eddie dies in the... Such a good little detail of course he needs to tell her that Eddie died because he was actually really important to him and he wanted to tell somebody. And it's just, I think he's also having like problems that episode of he got hit in the head. No, that's season 3. Remember Billy Kent? I love the callback to her. And because the dude that probably helped set the bomb that killed her is who Nucky kills after the waiter points out Billy Kent to him on the wall. So good. Little referencing things, so good. And then there's a girl at the beginning of season 4 that sleeps with Nucky and wants to be successful. And she says like, oh, that's what you did with Billy, right? And it's that scene works so well in like a million different regards, because it's like, it's almost a casting couch situation where you want to be like, Nucky, this isn't good. You shouldn't lead girls on into thinking you can advance their careers or even advance their careers and make them sleep with you that way. But then it sort of turns on it, and the girl kind of becomes the bad guy because she's like undercutting Nucky's relationship with Billy Kent because she actually loved her and we actually loved her, and it's like, fuck you, girl. And it sort of turns, and then he like gets Eddie to get rid of her, and then it's kind of like, Nucky's still kind of shitty in this situation. That was a great little first episode thing. Was that in the same episode where Pernsley gets tricked into the like cuck situation and then he kills the dude? Because if so, that's an interesting sort of like, that would be an interesting like consent episode, and that would kind of be the theme of that episode. I don't remember if that's exactly the same episode. But yeah, that was all. Where was I going with that? The Billy Kent stuff, the reoccurring, the reminding things at the end. If we had more seasons, the Sally thing would have been explored more. Had a whole section where I forgot Megan's name. I guess we're just moving up our line of characters. I don't know if I came to a conclusion there, but you're used to it. Eli, obviously... There's like the point, I think it's at the beginning of season 3 where like, because for the first 2 seasons you're like, fucking Eli, what a little fuck. And then season 3 onwards, you're kind of more, especially in season 3, you're more on his side than Nucky's, and they like bond by the end of the season. You're like, they're back together. And then season 4 and 5, they kind of have mini falling outs again. And it's kind of more an even thing of like these 2 characters that you care about that are being shitty to each other and have justifiable reasons for being shitty to each other. And it's just like, what a clusterfuck. Van Alden's death, it was maybe the biggest shocking, like I didn't see it coming. And then when it happened, I was like, I guess we don't have many episodes left. But him sort of like scaring Al at the end and like coming truthful with him about everything. That's a great final scene for him. The Eli sleeping with his wife thing was interesting because I think 2 episodes open with like this drunken stupor of Eli, and then there's sort of a zoom in on the ear and the music's playing and he's seeing certain things. That was all very interesting from just a filming standpoint, from a cinematography standpoint. Eli slept with Van Alden's wife. I'm trying to think of like what the big point of that was. It kind of ruins his family thing because his wife is there. the Van Olden's wife had been progressively getting more and more like annoyed with him. I know it was supposed to be a commentary on like his ultra like Christian way of living and how it bores her, so she needed somebody else, or if it was just a one-time thing. I don't know. I have to think about that more, but that was an interesting turn of events, I must say. And then the Margaret fucking goddamn it, where is he? Rothstein stuff in season 4 is fun too. But yeah, season 4, fun time. Do you have any extra characters here that we should go over? I didn't expect to see Narcisse again, so when he showed up again, Willie Thompson. It wasn't Max, it was Willie Thompson. But yeah, Willie slowly became more likable. Him at the beginning, he ends up accidentally killing that kid and stuff like that. That's all interesting stuff. I like all that stuff. Departing from the main cast last time. Yes. Ben Rufenstein was promoted to main cast member. I think he was kind of that in the first season. Let's go through the returning cast real quick. The Commodore, like the flashback Commodore, was really good as just an actor. This sheriff was an interesting character too, and the scene where Nucky and Eli go to their house for dinner and like they're talking back to their father and nothing's happening. That's a real cute scene. Joe Harper, Tommy Darmody. I nearly spoiled myself because when he said his name was Joe Harper, I like looked it up to see if it was like another famous mobster I didn't know, because the name Harper kind of sounded familiar, and I read like pretending to be Joe Harper, and then I like quickly got out of the tab because I was like, so I knew something was up with the kid, and I didn't read whatever summary came up when I googled the name, that it was Tommy. So it was still a surprise to me at the end. What a twist surprise. I'm so glad I didn't get spoiled. But it was like, I knew to be suspicious of him. I was like, how is this going to end? And then the last, like, we're getting to the end of the final episode and Nucky's hanging out with him. And I'm trying to figure out it because Nucky clearly sees him as like the little version of himself because the flashback's happening. And he's like, yeah, you're just the kid that sweeps the sand away or whatever, like he used to. But yeah, and then it's fucking Tommy. Ralph Capone. Oh yeah, Ralphie, of course. This is young Eli. That's older Nucky. Meyer is only returning cast. Bugsy, that was his name. Look, he's a real life person too. The whole situation where he's fucking that dude's wife and he comes up the stairs and then they get shot at, and then she just yells at her husband who's like bleeding out thinking he's dying, like, you're not dying, shut up or whatever. That was a fucking scene and a half. Ethan Thompson is their father. Maranzano as well, he was a character in the end. As Mabel. We got Joe Kennedy, of course. Sally, too. It was Sally Wheat, right? I was right there. Torrio, of course. The twist that Torrio, I think I figured it out right before they revealed it, that Torrio had set them up. It's a great little twist that Torrio hadn't actually retired. They never really elaborated on whether or not Torrio tried to have Al killed when he wasn't there, when he just left and it got shut up, and then whether or not it was Al that tried to have Torrio killed. I think we're supposed to assume that Al did try to have Torrio killed, but him still, like, fucking with everything, even at the end. I should fucking finish my thought before I start scrolling through the names. Oh yes, this is the wife. She was looking good in season 5 when she was in cunty housewife mode, I must say. Yes, and then daughter here. Her name is Daughter. All right, and she has an actual daughter now, and I think the implication is maybe that's Chalky's daughter. I think because she says like, oh, she had to run away from daddy, and she looks about 7. Because when Chalky goes in, it's like she says, like, oh, she's not Narcissus or whatever. She's not his, she says. And I assume that meant Narcisse. But yeah, the way that was all wrapped up, I didn't expect to see her again. And when she showed up, it was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm sure there's things I missed. But vaguely going over, I think we vaguely went over every character's like outcome. It's interesting that Al had like some loyalty to Nucky when he's like he like says fuck Luciano, we gotta call Nucky or whatever. After he kills that one dude for laughing at the joke or whatever, he's like, get Nucky on the phone, get Eli over here or whatever. It's all good stuff. The brothers, remember them from season 1? It also makes sense, obviously, that Jimmy's son gets Nucky in the end. It's sort of like that cycle thing. Remember Lucy? She never came back. Sad times. I feel like that's about all I have to say. How long have we been going for? About an hour? Only 46 minutes. I really, really like the ending. Like that sequence of like Jillian dressed up on the boardwalk asking Nucky for help at the end of the second last episode, and then everything that happens there in the last episode is like some of the best stuff I've ever seen in anything. I really love the trippy, like abstract stuff. I've said this in every one of my videos, I feel like, at this point. And it delivered on that. Especially in the final season, it started doing more of that stuff, again with the weird zooming in on the turntable on the ear stuff at the beginning of season 5. And then the Nucky stuff. Nucky like goes through like this weird, you can see the future thing or whatever. I don't even remember what the payoff to that scene was. Another scene that I'd be interested to go back and watch. When he's walking on the boardwalk in like that last episode. I think it might be the second last episode. That might be when he remembers or reads the note about Jillian asking for help. But all that stuff is really good. And obviously the last image you see is Nucky actually getting the coin in the river toss thing that was at the beginning of the season when they were all swimming. It reminds me of the Nirvana cover. I'm not even that big of a fan of Nirvana. I don't even know what the album is called, but the album cover of the baby like reaching for the dollar. Obviously that's supposed to be funnier and more satirical, but just like the kid desperately clinging, trying to find money, to find worth in their life, or and it's kind of juxtaposed with Tommy ripping up the money at the end, and sort of all this different stuff you can read into this. I think I saw a YouTube comment on one of the scenes I did click on. I didn't rewatch any scenes. I just clicked on a bunch of scenes to like read the comments and try and get an eye to what the discourse is. I can't remember what it was, but it was like there were 2 other characters where something like that happened, where like they had like when they died, they had a flashback or something. Why can I not remember a single other example of this? Where it was like Nucky trying to catch the money, and then there were other things for different characters, but I can't remember for the life of me what this fucking what the fucking comment said. If we talk about overall in the series, I think season 5 might be my favorite. I think they're all really good. I'd be very interested to go back and watch season 1 again now, just some of the characters that were running around there. Just like, remember Jimmy? Like, he feels like such a long time ago, and Ange and stuff like that. In terms of favorite overall moments, I feel like a lot of them are Jillian moments now. I think the best episode might still be the Jimmy flashback with like Angela like whisper saying like, Jimmy, I've got to go, is like, that's like, it's like an incredible piece of, it's just like an incredible line that might be one of my favorite lines in anything ever. It just stuck with me for whatever reason. But like the Nucky help me line from Jillian too is also very haunting in that same fashion. I like some, I don't think I talked about this enough, but the Margaret and Nucky stuff in season 5 is like real good. Like when they both explain sort of what they were thinking when they first met, of like, Nucky saying that if he could save this one girl, then everything would be worth it, and then Margaret saying that like she thought he seemed lonely. It's kind of not what was happening at the time though, which I think is part of the point of sort of like, I'm pretty sure the first time Margaret and Nucky meet each other, like Lucy walks through the scene and like kisses Nucky goodbye, and she's I don't think she's naked, but she's clearly strutting. So maybe he's not lonely, but maybe he was lonely with Lucy because he didn't really have an emotional connection with her, which she really didn't. Because Lucy even says at the beginning, like, we can have a baby if you want. I mean, probably should have gone in that direction, just saying. But, remember when Van Holden gets, this is like season 2 stuff, and Van Holden actually gets mad because Lucy says that Nucky was more fun, and like he asked someone if Nucky seems fun or something. That was just a great little like Van Holden little character trait. That completely got off topic. But also Nucky like tries to get rid of Margaret in like episode 3 or something, and like starts ignoring her and says to Eli like, this girl keeps coming around, I'm trying to get rid of her by ignoring her and being mean to her. He like dumps something she makes for him in like the garbage, I think. But then she ends up getting that one dude arrested, and he knows she did it, and then they sleep together. Laptop is saying it's gone flat. I think that's our go home cue. But some good bullshit. I like it all. I think it's fantastic. I think it's probably a 10. I'm more assured in that. Did I actually say anything? I don't know if Boardwalk is a 10. It's nothing less than a 9, but probably the best twist ending I've ever seen. Gillian and Nucky is one of the best shows I've ever seen. The Stephen Graham performance is one of the best ever. That's Al. Tommy fucking Darmody. I tweeted that right as I saw it. It's insane how close I was to spoiling myself. I knew the character was pretending to be someone else. I already explained all this stuff. When he said Nima for the second time, revenge for his mother, poetic. Revenge for Gillian, what the fuck. Gillian and or Nucky just became some of the greatest characters of all time. One episode left, Boardwalk, Boardwalk, Boardwalk. Jimmy, I have to go. She has the same hair. When I realized that because she's in the mental institute, Gillian has the same hair she does in the flashback, I freaked the fuck out. I don't know. Parallels like that get to me, and I'm like, that's fucking genius. Boardwalk is going where I think it's going with these flashbacks with Gillian. This is about to be a 10. This is about to be 10 solidifying stuff. They did generally go in the direction I was talking about of like the Gillian twist and like harping on the Gillian stuff towards the end. That was the third last episode of Boardwalk, and it's coming to an end, so it's time to kill some characters off. It's going the Black Sails thing, where history seems to be against our protagonist, but we'll see how it all turns out. That is another Black Sails comparison of like, in Black Sails, it's like the enemy is England, and you know that England, and you know this is historical fiction, and you know England still exists now, so like the good guys can't win in Black Sails. It's kind of a similar thing with Nucky and Luciano, where you know Luciano ends up setting up the 5 family system and becomes like the boss of all bosses or whatever. So it's like he has to win here. Like Nucky can't win, so you're kind of rooting against the inevitable, and it's kind of a clever thing to do. I watched Boardwalk in like 5 days, in season 8. I know it's supposed to be season 5, episode 3. Was real good. The Kennedy back and forth was great. The Chalky stuff was big tension. That's the stuff with Chalky and the family in the house, which is just like a great little tension back and forth. And Nucky waking up asking for Mabel and it being Margaret has stuck with me. It was quite cute. That was a great fucking, like him asking for Mabel and it's Margaret instead, and she turns the lamp on. That's an incredible fucking moment. The like ghost of Mabel still being with him and things like that. It's and the little card, and he eventually finds the card in the current timeline where she says, "I would have let you kiss me" or whatever. That was all great bullshit. But I think that's all we have to say. Only 54 minutes, I guess. I'm sure I missed out on some details. I didn't take any notes, even though I should have. I think I must have lightly touched on everything. Everything important, at least. Maybe not. Maybe I forgot some big things. I am fucking tired. But I think this is where we say goodbye. I want to do scripted Boardwalk videos eventually, but my rule generally is that I have to rewatch something before making an actual video about it. That's why there's no Chainsaw Man videos. That's why Mad Men videos took so long to make. But I don't know, maybe I'll just watch all the Jillian scenes again and make a video on that. We'll have to see. We'll see what happens with the videos. You know I'm fucking slow as fucking making videos, so you'll have to see. Plus, nobody cares about Boardwalk. Oh, it's so good. Why don't they care? So those videos wouldn't get big views. But anyway, you'll have to wait and see, I suppose. With that being said, there should be some Evangelion Rebuild videos coming out soon. I'm rewatching them all. I haven't seen the fourth one yet. And probably a video about my latest Pokemon Crystal playthrough. Second channel content is about to explode, and this is the first of them. Also probably the least viewed out of them, but what the fuck. With that being said, look forward to all of that. Support links in the description below. Thanks.